For years, the hatred between Andrei Castravet and Charlie Potthast has defined the 90-Day Fiancé universe. We watched them brawl at barbecues, scream at weddings, and tear their family apart over what we thought was money, businesses, and ego. But what if the rage wasn't about flipping houses? What if it was about a secret so dark, so taboo, that it was meant to stay buried forever? A bombshell report has just surfaced that changes absolutely everything we know about Libby and Andrei's perfect life. A leaked document, alleged to be a certified DNA test, has hit the internet, and the results are catastrophic. It shows a 99.9% probability that Andrei is not the father of Libby's son, Winston, but the true biological father. The report points a finger at the one person guaranteed to destroy this family for good, her own brother, Charlie. Before we dive into the evidence that is currently setting the internet on fire, you need to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are the only ones brave enough to touch this story, and you are not going to want to miss the updates coming out of Florida this week. Hit subscribe right now. To understand how we got here, we have to stop looking at the Potthast family as reality TV stars and start looking at them as suspects in a mystery that has been unraveling right in front of our eyes for years. When you look back at the footage of Charlie and Andrei, something never added up. The animosity was too intense, too visceral. We always assumed Charlie was just jealous of Andrei's position in the family business, or that Andrei was too aggressive. But insider reports and a new timeline theory suggest that the tension was actually the manifestation of a guilty conscience and a terrifying secret. Let's go back to the timeline. There is a specific period, roughly 2.5 years ago, that cameras did not capture. According to sources close to production, there was a brief, undocumented separation between Libby and Andrei. It was a volatile time. Andrei was pushing hard for control in the business, and the stress was breaking Libby down. During this window, insiders allege that Libby sought comfort in the only place she had left, her family. But specifically, she was spending an unusual amount of time with her brother Charlie. Now, the narrative we are hearing is tragic and disturbing. The theory goes that during a night of heavy drinking, something we know has been an issue in the Potthast clan. Boundaries were crossed. It was a moment of weakness, fueled by alcohol and emotional devastation, a single mistake that both parties swore would go to the grave. They patched things up with their respective partners. Libby and Andrei reconciled, presenting the image of the perfect reunited couple. Shortly after the announcement came, Libby was pregnant with her second child, Winston. To the world and to Andrei, this was the celebration of their love. But for Charlie and Libby, it was the beginning of a nightmare. Watch the old episodes again. Look at Charlie's face when the pregnancy was announced. It wasn't just the face of a brother who dislikes his brother-in-law. It was the face of a man harboring a nuclear secret. The excessive drinking, the erratic behavior, the desperate attempts to fight Andrei at every turn. Psychologists often say that aggression is a mask for deep-seated guilt. Charlie wasn't fighting Andrei for respect. He was fighting him because every time he looked at Andrei, he saw the man he had betrayed in the worst possible way. But secrets like this have a way of rotting from the inside out. While Libby and Charlie maintained their silence, someone else was watching. Someone who had been treated like an outsider for years. Someone who was tired of being the villain, while the Potthast pretended to be royalty. That person was Megan, Charlie's wife. Sources tell us that Megan had been suspicious for a long time. She knew the timeline of Libby's separation from Andrei. She knew exactly where Charlie was on those specific nights. And most importantly, she noticed a family resemblance in young Winston that was becoming impossible to ignore. This brings us to the smoking gun. This isn't just speculation anymore. We are talking about physical evidence that has allegedly been leaked by a lab technician with a guilty conscience, though many believe the leak was orchestrated by Megan herself. The document circulating in private forums is a high-resolution image of a paternity test from a nationally recognized laboratory. The top of the document lists the subject, Winston Leo Castravet. The first section is the paternity index for Andrei Castravet. In bold red letters, the result reads, excluded as biological father. That alone is enough to end a marriage. That alone is a storyline that destroys the franchise. But it is the second page of the leak that turns this from a scandal into a tragedy. The second sample tested wasn't a random control. It was a sample labeled under a pseudonym, but linked to a specific profile. The document shows a familial DNA match, with a probability of 90.9%. The markers are consistent not with a stranger, but with a first-degree relative of the mother. The report concludes that the biological father is Charles Potthast. Now, you have to ask yourself, how did this test happen? Andrei certainly didn't order it. He had no idea. Libby wouldn't dare. This is where the story turns into a thriller. The insider theory is that Meghan played the long game. Over the course of months, she allegedly collected the necessary genetic material, a pacifier left behind at a family gathering for Winston, a toothbrush or hair from a hairbrush from Charlie. She sent these samples into a private lab, paying out of pocket to keep it off the insurance records, using fake names to avoid alerting the media. When the results came back, Meghan didn't scream. She didn't file for divorce immediately. She sat on the information. She held the power of total destruction in her hands, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Why leak it now? Look at the recent news. The family business is struggling, tensions are high, and Meghan has been marginalized. By leaking this document to a major online tabloid rather than confronting them privately, she didn't just want the truth out. She wanted to burn the entire Potthast empire to the ground. She chose the nuclear option. The fallout we are hearing about is absolutely unprecedented. Reports from Tampa indicate that the Castravet household is currently a war zone. Andrei, a man known for his pride and his temper, has reportedly moved out of the family home immediately. But he isn't just sleeping on a friend's couch. Legal insiders suggest that Andrei's lawyers were at the courthouse first thing in the morning. He isn't filing for a standard divorce. He is filing for an emergency annulment based on fraud. In the eyes of the law, if this paternity test is accurate, the basis of their recent years together has been a lie. Andrei is reportedly devastated, not just by the infidelity, but by the identity of the father. To be betrayed by your wife is one thing. To find out the child you have raised, the son you have bonded with, is actually the son of your worst enemy, a man who has taunted you, belittled you, and tried to get you deported, is a level of psychological torture that is hard to comprehend. We are hearing that Andrei is suing for sole custody of their daughter, Eleanor, arguing that the environment in the Potthast family is incestuous, toxic, and unsafe for a child. He is painting Libby not as a victim, but as a co-conspirator in a fraud that has stolen years of his life. Furthermore, the legal implications go beyond family court. The local prosecutor's office is rumored to be reviewing the case. Depending on the local laws regarding familial relations and the nature of the encounter, there could be criminal charges involved. This isn't just about cheating. This touches on taboos that are codified in law. The internet is reeling, with fans dissecting every photo of Winston, comparing his features to Charlie's, looking for the truth in the pixels. The resemblance, which many brushed off as strong Potthast genes, is now being viewed as the undeniable proof of this dark theory. Let's look at the victims here. We have Winston, an innocent child whose entire identity has been politicized and scandalized before he can even speak in full sentences. We have Eleanor, who is watching her father storm out and her mother collapse. And strangely, we have to look at the dynamic between Chuck, the father of Libby, and Charlie. Chuck has spent his life trying to keep this family together, funding their lifestyles, mediating their fights. If this news is true, it proves that his entire project was a failure. His children didn't just fail to get along, they engaged in a betrayal that defies nature. Chuck is reportedly in hiding, refusing to answer calls from production, completely broken by the revelation that his legacy is this twisted scandal. The leaked documents also contain timestamps that align perfectly with the lost weekend theory. The conception date estimated by the DNA test falls exactly within that window where Andrei and Libby were separated. It's almost as if the universe left a breadcrumb trail that we were all too blind to see. We were too busy making memes about Andrei's accent or Charlie's drinking to realize we were watching a Greek tragedy play out in Florida. As we process this, we have to consider the silence from the Potthast camp. Usually, when a fake rumor starts, they are on Instagram immediately, denying it, calling it haters, spinning the narrative. But since this leak dropped, radio silence. Libby's account has gone dark. Charlie has deactivated his comments. Andrei has posted nothing but a black screen on his story. In the world of social media influencers, silence is the loudest admission of guilt you can get. They are lawyering up. They are in crisis management mode because they know this isn't a rumor they can laugh off. This is the end of the road. The producers of 90 Day Fiancé are also reportedly scrambling. They have hours of footage that they are now reviewing, looking for clues they missed. There are rumors that TLC is considering canceling the upcoming spin-off that was supposed to feature the family, as the subject matter has become too dark for their brand. Or, cynically, are they rushing a camera crew to Andrei's hotel room right now to capture the fallout? We know how this industry works. Pain pays. What is terrifying is the level of deception required to maintain this. Every birthday party, every holiday, every time Andrei held Winston and Charlie was in the room, Charlie knew. Libby knew. They looked Andrei in the eye. They let him sign the birth certificate. They let him bond with the child, all while holding a dagger behind their backs. It reframes Libby completely. We often saw her as the peacemaker, the one stuck in the middle. But if this is true, she is the architect of Andrei's destruction. She allowed him to raise her brother's child as his own to save her reputation. We need to talk about the source of the leak again. The lab technician with a conscience narrative is likely a cover. This has Megan's fingerprints all over it. She has been the scorned woman, the outsider, the one blamed for Charlie's behavior. By dropping this bomb, she vindicates herself. She proves that the rot in the family didn't start with her. It was there in the bloodline long before she arrived. It is the ultimate revenge. She destroys Charlie, she destroys Libby, and she leaves the Potthast dynasty in ashes, standing over the wreckage as the only one telling the truth. The psychological toll on Andrei cannot be overstated. We have seen him aggressive, yes. We have seen him arrogant, but we have never seen him broken. Reports say he is barely eating, barely sleeping, consumed by a rage that is frightening his friends. He feels that his entire American dream was a trap. He came here for love, he built a life, and it turns out the people he called family were laughing at him the entire time. He is demanding a paternity test for Eleanor as well, not because he doubts she is his, but because he no longer trusts a single word that comes out of Elizabeth's mouth. He wants science to speak because the people have lied. This betrayal changes how we view every single interaction from the past 3 seasons. The scene where Charlie gave a toast at the wedding and told Andrei not to ask Chuck for money, was that really about money? Or was that Charlie, in his drunken state, trying to assert dominance over the man who was raising his son? When Andrei threatened to fight Charlie, was Charlie's hesitation fear of physical pain or the paralyzing fear that a physical fight would somehow bring the truth to light? This story is developing rapidly. We are waiting on a statement from the family's legal representatives. We are waiting to see if criminal charges are actually filed. But the evidence, the leak, the silence, and the sudden legal motions from Andrei all point to one conclusion. The rumors are true, the DNA doesn't lie, and the Potthast family is over. This is only the beginning of the deep dive. We have more exclusive information regarding the specific night in question and the text messages that were exchanged between Megan and Libby prior to the leak. We are going to break down the legal strategy Andrei is using to claim millions in damages for paternity fraud. You think you've heard it all? You haven't heard anything yet. The level of deception here is Shakespearean. It is crucial to understand that if this goes to court, everything becomes public record. The text messages, the timelines, the depositions. We are about to see the inner workings of reality TV's most dysfunctional family laid bare, and it is going to be ugly. Andrei is reportedly out for blood. He doesn't just want a divorce, he wants to bankrupt them. He wants to ensure that the Potthast name is synonymous with disgrace. And honestly, can you blame him? Stay tuned because what comes next involves the police report and the witness statements from the night of the mistake. We are now uncovering details about the specific timeline that makes this nightmare undeniable. While the DNA test is the scientific proof, the corroborating evidence coming from witnesses in Florida paints a picture of a weekend spiraling out of control. We have obtained exclusive reports regarding a specific 3-day period 2.5 years ago, a time when Andrei was reportedly back in Moldova, handling visa issues and family matters alone. During this window, Libby remained in Florida. Sources tell us that on the Friday of that weekend, Charlie and Libby were seen at a dive bar on the outskirts of Tampa, far away from the usual upscale spots where they filmed the show. They were trying to be invisible. A witness, who claims to have served them that night, describes the vibe not as siblings catching up, but as 2 people in deep distress, drinking to obliterate their reality. The witness alleges that the conversation was intense, tearful, and physical. Lots of leaning in, holding hands, the kind of intimacy that looks different when you know the secret they were hiding. They left together in a rideshare, leaving their cars behind. What happened after they left that bar is the subject of the police report that is currently being drafted, but the timeline aligns perfectly with the conception window calculated by the paternity test. But the physical evidence isn't the only thing destroying the Potthast defense. We need to talk about the digital trail. You think this family, obsessed with their phones, didn't leave receipts? We are hearing about a series of deleted text messages that Megan's forensic team has reportedly recovered from the cloud. This is where the betrayal goes from a drunken mistake to a calculated conspiracy. Allegedly, there are texts from Libby to Charlie sent the morning after the incident, begging him to stay silent. One message reportedly reads, "We take this to the grave, it ruins everything." Andrei kills you if he knows. Charlie's response? A simple, I'm deleting this. It never happened. These texts, if authenticated and entered into evidence in Andrei's lawsuit, prove premeditation regarding the cover-up. They prove that when Libby found out she was pregnant weeks later, she made a conscious choice to deceive her husband, her family, and the world. She rolled the dice on a 50-50 biological chance, praying the child would look like Andrei. She lost that gamble. Now, let's look at the legal strategy Andrei is deploying, because it is brilliant and brutal. He isn't just suing for divorce. He is reportedly consulting with attorneys who specialize in paternity fraud, a specific tort that allows a duped father to sue for the reimbursement of all funds spent raising a child that isn't his, as well as damages for emotional distress. But Andrei is going further. He knows Charlie doesn't have the liquid cash to pay millions. He is targeting the Potthast Family Trust and the business assets. The argument is that the family business, which he helped work for, was used to launder the hush money and support the lifestyle that covered up this lie. Andrei is coming for the properties. He is coming for the listings. He effectively wants to own the very business they tried to push him out of. It is a Count of Monte Cristo level of revenge. He wants to leave them penniless. We also have to discuss the role of Chuck. Poor Chuck. Or so we thought. New theories suggest Chuck might have been the only other person who knew. Why? Because insiders point to a massive, unexplained transfer of funds from Chuck to Charlie's LLC shortly after Winston was born. At the time, we thought it was just Chuck enabling his son again. But look at it through this new lens. Was that hush money? Did Charlie threaten to blow up the family reputation if Daddy didn't pay up? If Chuck knew that his grandchildren were products of incestuous infidelity, and he helped cover it up to keep the reality TV checks coming, he is just as culpable as the siblings. Andrei's lawyers are reportedly subpoenaing Chuck's bank records to find the link. If they find proof that Chuck paid for their silence, the patriarch goes down with the ship. The production implications are massive. TLC is currently in a crisis meeting. They cannot air a season where the main storyline involves incest and paternity fraud of this magnitude without risking their entire network's license and advertiser relationships. This is too dark for cable. We are hearing rumors that the footage currently in the can for the next season is being scrubbed. Editors are being told to delete scenes. The show might be canceled entirely, or at the very least, the Potthast family will be scrubbed from history. They are radioactive. No advertiser wants their product placed next to a story about a brother and sister having a child together. This leak hasn't just ended their marriage. It has ended their careers. They will never work in the media again. And what about the psychology of the children? This is the most heartbreaking part. Eleanor is old enough to understand tension. She sees her father gone. She sees her mother crying. And Winston? Someday he will grow up. He will have access to the internet. He will read these articles. He will see the DNA test. How does a human being process the fact that his father is his uncle? That his existence is the result of a betrayal that destroyed a family? The psychological scars on these children will last a lifetime. Andrei knows this. That is why his petition for sole custody is so aggressive. He plans to take Eleanor back to Moldova. He wants to sever all ties with the United States and the Potthast name. He believes the only way to save his daughter is to remove her from the toxic swamp of her mother's family. He is ready to self-deport if it means saving his child. The silence from Libby is deafening, but sources say she is currently under suicide watch. The shame is overwhelming. She has been the princess of the family, the one who had it all together. Now she is the face of a scandal that is globally trending. Friends say she is claiming she was coerced, that she was vulnerable, trying to spin a narrative where she is the victim of Charlie's predatory behavior. But the DNA test doesn't care about narratives. The texts don't care about excuses. She is trapped in a web of her own making. We must also consider the fans. We, the viewers, have invested years in this couple. We defended them. We critiqued them. We bought their cameos. We feel betrayed too. This isn't just a plot twist. It's an insult to the audience. We were sold a reality that was completely fabricated. The arguments about being late to dinner or not cutting the grass seem so trivial now. We were watching a horror movie disguised as a romance reality show. As we head into the final days before the official court filing becomes public, expect the leaks to get dirtier. Meghan has more. She allegedly has video recordings of arguments between Charlie and Libby where they allude to the secret. She is releasing them one by one, methodically, to ensure maximum damage. She wants to make sure there is no spin they can use to get out of this. She is burning the bridge while they are still standing on it. This is the most shocking theory yet. Is there any coming back from a betrayal like this? Who is the ultimate victim here? Andrei? Libby? Or the children? I am speechless. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you believe Andrei should get sole custody and take Eleanor to Moldova? Should Chuck be held financially responsible for the cover-up? And is this the end of the 90-Day Fiancé franchise as we know it? Hit that like button if you want us to keep digging. And subscribe right now because as soon as that court docket is public, we are going to live with the documents. You do not want to miss the end of the Potthast dynasty.